Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So this morning, we're going to put the 621 case wheel loader back together. And I went to get my tripod out of the shop, well, where it's usually at in the shop, and it wasn't in there. I said, Tyler, where's it at? He's like, I put it in your truck next to the new shelf that I made for storage in your tool truck. Him and George made me a new storage shelf, and there's my tripod. It's got its own spot now. And then he stacked all my other camera mounts up here. So I got some good organization now. All right, we're going to go in the shop, and I'll show you what we've done off camera, because Tyler and I went to the Fort Wayne Farm Show yesterday, and Dad and George did some things. So I'll show you what they did while we were gone, and I'll show you where we're at, and we'll get started putting it back together. I got so much stuff packed in this building, things are pretty tight. All right, so here's the flywheel out of the 5.9 Cummins out of the 621 case loader. Dad and George went ahead and put this new drive ring in. This is what it looks like when it's new. Put it in, you got to retorque the bolts. The bolts have epoxy on them, so you're not supposed to start the engine for at least 12 hours after them bolts are installed. So somehow that epoxy kind of works like Loctite. Once it's in there, it sets up. So now we can go ahead and put this back on. They also installed a new ring gear for the starter, because the old one had a couple spots where it was pretty chewed up. So we went ahead and we ordered a new one, and just heated this up all the way around, knock it off, heat the other one up, slide it back on, cools off, kind of like I do a bearing race on a shaft. So, So now it is ready to go back in. We're going to go ahead and bolt this back to the crankshaft of the engine, and then we will set the engine back in. And hopefully everything goes right and this all slides together really nicely. All right, we're going to get this flywheel back in.
I have an adapter, and I refill my 1-pound cans from my 25
It's on the charger.
Well, again, I refill mine. I don't, these cans are $5 a piece. If you refill from a 25 can, you...
Find one? Yep. Kind of hard to see in that dark hole. There we go. We'll get them bolts in and get them torqued. All right, so Tyler's gonna do a final torque on the flywheel. He started at 25, went 60, and now he's gonna go 80. I gotta hold the front balance so I can't turn. All right. So the torque spec that we are using is one that we came up with for an industrial Cummins engine. We don't actually have books for this 621. I need to get a book for it. Technical manual. You end up with a little more, that's all. All right, we can slide our ring back on our, we got the tripod leg right through the ring. Should be a line on that. I think that's upside down right now. Should be a Sharpie line that lines up with that. Yep, right there. All right, it's ready to go back in the loader now. Well, it's back in and it went relatively simple. We got it in there, we held a little pressure forward, and I just rocked the front balancer with a ratchet on one of the bolts, and it just slid right in. So that part wasn't very exciting. So now we're going to go under, we're going to get a couple of the bell bolts put in just to hold it, and then we can get Tyler out of the Bobcat, and we'll get that back cross member put back in there with the engine mount on it on the rear, and then we'll have it. All right, so I've got get the engine mount put back in here in the back, but I can't tighten anything up yet because we've still got weight of the engine hanging on the forks of the Bobcat. So what we need to do first is we need to finish up those bell bolts and get the nuts back on the bell studs. Then we can relax the weight on the Bobcat, and that will make this sit the way it's supposed to, because as you can see, it's got slotted holes and the bolts are not where they originally were. So when this engine comes down a little bit, when it rests on the transmission mounts, it's going to allow that to slide back where it needs to be, and then we can tighten everything up and we're done. So Tyler right now is back there trying to get the one nut on one of the top studs, which it is a bear to get to. He doesn't have much room to work. As you can see, you can just barely see his light through that crack. That's where he's working. So it's pretty tight in there. Let's walk around and see if we can see him. We can't really see him very well. You can see his little paw in there working. Yeah, so you need to be the size of Wilson, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to have cat's paws to be able to get in there to put them nuts on, because it's a tight situation in there. All right, we're gonna finish getting them on. I do have 3 in the bottom that I have in, and then there's 2 up the sides that I can reach. It's just kind of a stretch to get to them. But we'll finish getting them in, and we'll finish back here. Then we can start hooking some things back up. So I had to bring my tool truck in the shop because my side boxes are froze shut. And there's a ratchet that we want out of there for putting them nuts back on them studs on top of the transmission. It's a short ratchet with a 3/8 drive in it. And while we wait on that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thread this fitting back in for the air seat in the cab. I took this out because I just know, you've seen how we had to take the engine in and out. I just know that it was going to end up getting broke off in the process. So sometimes it's easier just to take some things apart and get them safely out of the way than it is to try to extract broken things. So thank you, Tyler, for pointing that out with the pointer finger. So now we can find our airline, which looks like it's right here, hiding. It's a quick connect, so we'll just push it in there, and now our air seat is back hooked up. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to work on some of the wiring for the starter, get that all hooked back up, and probably just work my way around until we get the rest of those bell bolts in and we can get that back engine mount tightened up. Because it's not going to take a big video to make this little video that I'm going to make right now. Alright, so I'm using my extended 1/4-inch ratchet that I made last week, where I took a gear wrench ratchet and made it longer. You'll have to go check that video out. A lot of viewers were questioning my sanity when I put that 1/4-inch head on such a long handle, but this is where it's coming in handy. You can see the head of it's all the way up here, and that's a long ways for me to reach, but I can comfortably reach it down here, and I got plenty of handle to get these bolts tight. That one's tight. I got one more down here that I got to get to. I got these 3 in right here. It's kind of a nasty place to work down here, and the guys above drop tools on you all the time. So just about got the bolts all back in. Well, all our bell bolts and nuts are back on, are in. So we're gonna go ahead and set it down. Tyler's in the Bobcat. Get this bolt tightened up so I can get to it. All right. That's good. Now we can tighten up our big bolts. antifreeze back in. Got everything back to that point. Dumping it out in kitty litter buckets. I bet you didn't know that Tidy Cats makes antifreeze also. Is this the safe stuff that you can let your cats drink?
No.
No.
Maybe.
It's America's #1 litter brand, Tidy Cats. Their jugs are not meant for pouring antifreeze out of, apparently. All we gotta do now is put the hood back on. Well, the exhaust and stuff back on, and then the hood, and it's finished. Air breather, yeah, I gotta have that. So we're just about there. Well, let's see if it's gonna start before we go any farther.
Ready? Sure. Everybody clear?
Yep. Fixed the brakes while it was in here, so Dad wanted to try them. Well, she's ready to go back to work. The Peterbilt license plate covering up the rust hole in the cab. The fan belt's been squeaking since we put it back together. Well, now that that's out of the way, we can bring combines in one by one and get them cleaned up and washed up and waxed. We were going to start doing that until this went down, and with this in the shop, we can't get a combine in. So I know in the last video I said to guess what it was going to cost for that ring. So that ring, I gotta get that chain off there and put it back on the low boy. That ring from Case was $2,385. We got it through a company that deals in Clark transmission parts, which that is a Clark transmission in our 621 loader. Some of these 621s, the newer ones, had the ZF transmission or ZF transmission. Our loader has the old Clark transmission in it, which is supposedly the better of the two. So through a company that deals in transmission parts, we were able to get that ring for $441. So that was quite a bit of a savings versus going through Case on it. So it was actually a lot cheaper. The radio works. I made him a new antenna, so he's happy. So it was definitely a savings going through the company, and it's actually coming straight from Clark. So it is a Clark parts, genuine part. So it's not aftermarket or anything like that. So not saying aftermarket parts are bad. So anyways, it is ready to go back to work. We're happy. It kind of got strung out just because of waiting on parts and things like that, but it's back together. That's all that matters. So thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. I wish I could get more video than I do, but I try my best to get what I can. Sometimes you just can't get cameras where you need them to get video, or you kind of get in a hurry getting stuff back together and you kind of forget to video it. But anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one. What do you think?
Roll the outro.
Roll the outro? Okay. I don't know how to do that. What? Okay.
You need to make an outro.
What is an outro?
Like the ending of the video.
The ending of the video? Huh. I'll have to do that. Well, why don't you do like a backflip or something?
That'll break my neck.
No, don't break your neck. Just don't rub on them grapples too much because of that poison sumac that's on them. So that was another thing. While it was in the shop, Dad touched the grapples and got poison sumac on his fingers and then rubbed his eyes. So he was out of commission for about 4 days in the house with poison sumac in his eyes. So don't get it in your eyes. That's bad stuff. It's about as bad as poison ivy. So anyways, thank you for watching.